this right here is it's a barberry. It has yellow flowers followed by dropping clusters of showy salmon-colored fruit that turns red in fall, which I never did get to see. Super thorny, but worth it. I don't think it's worth it for me. So the reason why I'm cutting this and removing it is because it has a lot of thorns. Now, this is not the right time in winter to be pruning anything, even if it's dormant. But because of the placement that it's in this garden, I really don't want it here. So I'll probably try to put it in a container and then see if it'll continue to grow. If it doesn't grow, it's no loss. This is supposed to have some showy yellow flowers, and then in the fall, it's supposed to have these beautiful red berries. I've never seen it. It just may be because this has been kind of shaded by this lily as well as all the lucifers that are around here, and therefore it's not getting enough light to produce the way it should. So I'm going to be removing this. There's another plant right here. It is right next to the rose bush, so I may also pull that out and put it in a container and see if it'll survive the winter months in my garage, and if it doesn't, well, no big deal. Oh my goodness, it has long roots. So yeah. I was hitting some kind of metal down here. I mean, it felt like a rock. I've never found a rock yet in digging all the areas that I've dug. I have yet to come across any rocks. That is so unusual for property, especially 5 acres of property. So yeah, I do have plants here that are coming up for spring, so I'm going to try not to disturb those. But I'm going to clean some of this dead foliage. Guys, I got really really dark last night for me to actually show you what I was doing here. And I think I explained a little bit of things, but primarily this video is just to show you what I do off camera when I get inspired to come out to the garden. I often come out here late at night because I find it very peaceful. The neighbors are asleep. You know, the only thing that you hear maybe in the distance may be coyotes or the cows, the crickets. And that in itself brings a lot of peace and joy to me. And it makes me feel very comfortable about being out here. And it really inspires me to be creative. So I hope you enjoy these. Now, let me kind of go over, I'm going to turn the camera around and go over what I have done last night and explain some of the things. But let me first explain what I did here, because you probably did get to see a little bit about this. Now, this is a beautiful lily, and it is beautiful for so many reasons. One, it is great for cut flowers. It's great just because it's a profuse bloomer. It has been blooming all summer long, way into late fall. And I just love it. Now, the cold frost actually knocked it down. And so I thought of keeping all the foliage up since it was upright. But then I decided, no, I'm gonna go ahead and cut them. They're dead pretty much. So I cut them down probably about 3 inches from the ground. And then I decided to go ahead and cover it with a tomato ring. And I put the tomato ring upside down. And then I put this frost cloth on it. And the reason for that is because if we get ice and snow come February or early March, then this will be well protected, and it'll still get water around the base of it, and the water, when it rains, it will still get watered. So that will just protect it if for some reason there was some stems that were open. I don't want it to affect the bulbs. So that's why I covered it. Now what I have in my hand here is rosebush foliage. If you have any rose bushes, you know that rose bushes get some kind of black spot, mildew, and probably some type of diseases on them. And so I don't want to carry this over for next year, and I don't want to cause any damage to my rose bush. So with they stick, I go in here and I dig around these thorns, and I move all the leaves that I possibly can, and then I pick them up and I remove them and I discard them in the garbage can. This is something you don't want to put in your compost, and you don't want to leave in the ground because it could cause more damage and affect your rose bush. But yeah, let me bring you really close, and then I'm going to be mulching this and let you go. But it'll give you an idea what's in here and what I plan to do for 2025 as far as this garden is concerned. Right back here, I have a lucifer right here as well as right here. Now there is something else growing right here, which I have no idea what it is. I'm going to wait till springtime to see what emerges. But I do have a daylily here and a daylily here. Then I had another plant planted right next to the rosebush. I kind of explained last night that I was going to overwinter it, and that is exactly what I did. And I do have quite a few crocuses that were fall crocuses. Looks like they're trying to reemerge. Then I have, I don't know if these are daffodils or exactly what these are, but I'm sure I'll figure that out come springtime. Right over here I have a hollyhock. This is really not in its right placement as either. I mean, it grows really tall and then it just flops over into the walkway, and so I will be pulling this out come springtime. Then there was one other plant right here that had a lot of thorns. It's called a Barbarous Jamieson's or something like that. This was completely out of placement, and it should never have been planted in here, as well as the one that was over by the rosebush. So I removed those. Again, there's some daylilies here, some daylilies here. In here I have a yucca plant. This is one of my new plants here. And then I have some daffodils in here that I planted. This one here is called a color guard yucca. And it's just gorgeous. So I may keep this in the pot, but I put it for now, kept it in its original pot and just buried it into the pot so that it can well overwinter. It is pretty cold hardy. It gets down to minus 20 degrees. So it can handle some cold weather, but I decided to go ahead and just put in a container so that it can be insulated for the winter. This is something that you can do if you're not sure where to place a plant. You can overwinter them by placing them in a container like this. So I have that, and then this blue spruce. This one here gets 3 to 5 feet tall and about 5 to 6 feet wide, and that's the foliage will get about 5 to 6 feet wide. So it's going to get fairly large. The hardy zone is minus 50 degrees, so it's zoned down to 2. So yeah, and it requires full sun, and you water it 2 to 3 times during the week when you first plant it. This is going to look gorgeous. Now, blue spruces in general probably only grow about 6 inches per year. So it's going to take a while before it gets, 5 to 6 inches wide, right? But wherever it gets planted, it's going to look beautiful. But again, what I did to overwinter that, rather than putting it in the garage, I went ahead and put it in its own container, in a container, just to give it some insulation. This pot here, I planted a lot of daffodils. I think the chipmunks grabbed one of them. So we'll see what happens next year. But yeah, so this is what it looks like now. And I am so glad that I came out here to do this, because every time I walk by there to go into my home, it just looked ugly, for lack of a better word. And now at least looks well maintained. I also did a little bit of cleanup in here. Just kind of scraped around and cleaned up a little bit. Not too much, but enough that it made it look a little bit more presentable. Right here is where I have some plants that I either purchased or that I dug up from the yard and just wasn't sure of where to place them, or stuff that I brought from my other home. I will go over them really quick, but this one here is the plant that I dug up, and this is identified as a desert rose. I don't know what the bloom looks like, don't know much about it. I will do some research and then let you know, because I'm not familiar with this plant entirely. But I do know that it will take full sun. I think it'll do fine here. I put it in good soil, gave it some good watering, a little bit of fertilizer, so it should be fine in here. All the plants that I'm actually housing in my garage get some sunlight during the day, and so they stay nice and warm over here. This one right here is a red flowering currant. Look at all those buds that are coming up. It's just thriving in here. And this is one that I dug up. Didn't know what to do with it. This will get fairly large. And then I have a little bit of euphorbia, and then I have some goldenrod in here and some goldenrod in here. These may not make it, but if it doesn't, it's no big deal. But this one will probably thrive, which is this one right here. And then I have a fuchsia that I brought from my other home and never got to plant it, so it looks like it's doing fine. It's got some new buds on it, so I'm thinking that's going to do just perfectly fine being housed in here. And then I have a Orangeola lace Japanese maple here. This one's my newest one. So yeah, now you can see how beautiful this looks, and I'm loving it. So I hope you enjoyed this. And if you want to see more of this, please let me know in the comments below. because I do often come out here and just fiddle in the garden, and I never really film it. So let me know if you guys want to see more of this. And the last thing I want to say is Happy New Year. I hope that your new year is going to be filled with love and joy and all the happiness and blessings that one can have throughout the whole year. So love you guys. I really appreciate all your support, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.